the lights were on, and I thought you might be home. I wasn't sure.
Welcome in. I'm here for the start of one. This truly never happens. You're usually here at the very beginning, I feel like. How's it going? Have you been here for a character wheel stream? Saw you spin a wheel one time. Yeah, it was Sephiroth. Hi, welcome in. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sephiroth was a little rough, but that's okay. If you have any characters you want to add, feel free. Here's my list. It's been ever growing. I have not made a dent yet because every time I do one character, we add two more. So I'll get there eventually because I would love to eventually be able to move up to doing like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, for each of these expressions for the characters. So just to really refine, because 1 minute is, I'm recognizing, very difficult for certain characters. Like anime characters, pretty hard because they've got a lot of detail. But other, Marvin the Martian, not terrible. There's some other ones on here that probably wouldn't be awful. SpongeBob has a lot of detail. That one's gonna be rough, but we'll figure it out. Shiki Tono. I don't know who that is. Let me look. Oh, is this the guy from what's it from? Oh, Melty Blood. Type Moon. Oh. That sounds familiar. I was thinking, what's that fighter? There's a fighting game. And it's Blood something. Oh well. Sure. I don't know what game I was thinking. Melty Blood, also the MC of Tsukime. Interesting. Yes, it is an anime character, sorry. What game was I thinking of? Is Melty Blood the video game? I feel like I have it on my list. Let me check my Steam. Go figure. All right, I got a lot of anime characters on my thing. Don't worry about it. Okay, what was that game called? I swear I kept it in my list. It is Melty Blood. Okay, that's what I was thinking. Fighting game. Got it. I was wondering why that was so popular because I saw it popping up when I was looking up like best 2D fighters. Because I just wanted to get back into 2D fighters. I was like, oh yeah, Street Fighter, Tekken, that stuff. Well, I guess Tekken's like a 2.5D. And Melty Blood popped up, and I had never heard of it, so I was wondering why it was so popular, but I guess if it's got anime tie-ins and movies and stuff, that makes more sense. Alright, let's spin this and see who we're doing. The Garf. Alright. Let's find some Garfield pics. Very excited about Garfield. Exactly what happened with me. Nabbed it on sale earlier as I was a fan of BN. Interesting. Lasagna tone. Lasagna time. Where was I gonna put that? I'll just put it here. Do you know? Because you stream on YouTube. Do you know if there's a way to do raids on YouTube? Like, is there an equivalent to what happens on Twitch where you can like send your audience to another person's stream after you're done? Because I would like to be able to do that. I think that would be fun to, build camaraderie on the platform, get with other small artists. I think that would be fun. But I don't think that YouTube has that function because it's not optimized for streaming, because they hate us. Because if there's not, I do think I want to move toward Twitch. Just because I think there's more of a likelihood of people coming in. I feel like YouTube is pretty few and far between. But, I don't know. Okay, let me get this out. I haven't a clue, only ever upload videos myself. My Wi-Fi would crumble under streaming. Oh, I thought you said you streamed. Never mind then. Sure. Let's do... I'll do Garfield character shape. Let's see how bad my typing is. Yeah, that's not bad. Well, this is from the new movie. Well, I say new, that was probably like 4 years ago, and I hate that's so old now. I'll say it's 2 years old. I don't know. I'm having a hard time remembering. Because I didn't really care. I'll do expression sheet. Maybe that'll be better. Same thing. Let's do this one. You could also multi-stream or both. That's what a lot of people do. I need to figure out how to do that. You should do that. I need to figure out how to set that up because I know you can pay for it on OBS or on Streamlabs. I don't know if there's some way to bootstrap that with OBS because I don't want to have to pay for that. That's expensive. And this is just supposed to be for me to have fun and inspiration for other people. No, inspiration for me that other people are watching. I'm more likely to follow through on, hey, I'm going to draw today if people are holding me accountable. Okay. We've got Garfield. Let me get my action ready. Here. Garfield tab. I need to find my brush. Yeah, that'll work. Honestly shocked I've spelled that correctly. I always mess up the I before E. Honestly, real, I wouldn't pay either. ER. Yeah, who would possibly advocate for stealing? Not me, good sir. Never in my life would I. Yeah, no, I'll figure that out somehow. We'll figure that out. I could, because I use my old iPhone as a camera, and so I could probably figure out a way to do that and also stream through that on like TikTok or something. But it might explode because it's very old. And it gets overheated just from, yeah, like it's really warm. Also, I don't think it would last without being plugged in. Okay, got it. Whatever. No, I don't want you to use my analytics. Okay, let me practice with Garfield real quick. Okay, so I gotta get the eyes right. The eyes are iconic, and they are... That's interesting that they're, like, pushed together. And that's a butt. I just drew a butt. It's very tiny pupils, too. Very interesting. Triangle nose, or... not triangle nose. I like that kind of nose. That's fine. Has the lips, cat lips, classic. As I will probably forget to draw his little freckles, but they're there. You could probably find a YouTube tutorial. They've got one for everything. That's usually what I do. I tried fan art for the first time in a long while. What fan art did you do? Nothing wrong with fan art. I feel like people... There was a moment where I was like, I don't really want to do fan art stuff, but then I was like, it's a good way to get people's eyes, and I enjoy the things that I watch, so it's like paying homage to that thing that inspires me to make art myself. So I don't see any issue with fan art, but some people are like, don't stoop to that. Now, I will say that I haven't made art for myself in a while necessarily, so that is the caveat. Is like, what's going on with his ears? That is the caveat. Is like, if you do just fan art, I feel like you will be like artistically drained, I guess is the way that I would put it, in that you're just doing other people's content. It does kind of, as much as it is an artistic outlet, it's not your artistic outlet. And so I feel like there's still like this repression of your own style. Like you'll never fully develop your own style. So I think that's the fear in when people are telling you don't do fan art. But if you're capable of going back and forth, I think it's fine. I don't think there's any issue. Because I still have my stuff that I do separately. I did all those stickers a while ago of all my favorite fan art stuff. But yeah. I was shocked at not having a design. The character really did make it go quicker. Yeah, that is a big part of it. As long as you're able to incorporate it into your style, that is pretty cool. Made a collab for Miku X Monster Hunter, basically armored her up with a giant sword. That's very fun. I like that. I don't know any of the Miku lore. I know that she's big on the internet. That's about it. I know that she's like the first, not really VTuber even either, because she's like entirely digital. But it's just a musical artist that went and became a pop star, I guess, digitally. I guess that is a VTuber. I mean, it's not streaming. I don't know. I have no idea. But she kind of took on a life of her own, which is very interesting. Your drawing tablet came in nice. Finished it earlier editing the video. Congrats on the tablet. Yeah. Have you gotten anything done with it yet? Have you got it set up? Because I know sometimes getting drivers set up is a pain in the butt. Garfield has a tongue. That's good to know. Does he ever have teeth? He has teeth here. He has teeth there. I don't like the human teeth in his mouth. Okay, I gotta compress this into a minute. Let me try this again, but faster. So let's do like almost like a saggy oval. For his face. That's not. Yeah. And then line for the eyes. Roundabouts there. Got those jowls. If they're not, so these delineate a lot. That's gonna be a big tell. He also always has the chin. He's got like a chin line. It's a Vocaloid sound box for making sound. Ah, interesting. Okay. I'm doing Starry Night currently. Wow. Big. I'll upload to the server when I get the image out to the public. Excited as I think it's the best thing I've drawn. Wow. That's big. The server's pretty neat. Yes, on Discord. Thank you for I appreciate the advertising. I do want to continue to grow that. I think it is very fun. I think we've got a lot of good people, and I really appreciate the sincerity. I feel like the internet has made things a little too comfortable when it comes to like being a jerk, and I think that it's really nice to just have an area where people can post stuff and not fall victim to trolls. Like it's a safe place to share stuff and get genuine feedback from other artists rather than just posting on social media and getting empty like wow or you know, like if you want feedback you can get it. Now I also tell people not to just give unended or unasked for advice on the server, just because that's the trap of social media, is that people will just be like, this sucks, do something else. But it's like not constructive and also not asked for. And so there's places for you to post in the server for specific feedback, and then there's places for you to just show off. And I think that having both of those options is helpful. Because sometimes you do just want to show stuff off. You're just like, hey, check it out. And it's like, neat. I like that. Discord hates you. Well, I don't hate you, so it's not my fault. If I could fix it, I would. All right. So, what am I missing Garfield-wise? What iconic thing? I need to get the ears correct as well. Ears are just like here. The ears are a little expressive. They'll go up sometimes, they go out sometimes, they go flat sometimes. So I can utilize that. For the most part, they're here. I think what's confusing me is the outer ear plus the inner ear. So if I just always do this, and then I do that. Oh, I guess it goes up like that. Why does that look like eyebrows? Somehow I've ruined Garfield's design. Maybe it's that I do this. for whatever reason, when it's just line art and not color and shading, it looks like eyebrows. That line that was an issue? I just don't think it's gonna work. It's odd. Could be the shape. Could be that my shape is off. I don't like that the lines connect. The lines in the ears connect to the eyeballs, and that in my head it just looks like eyebrows. I don't know why. Posting on socials has been rough, especially original designs like mine, which is why I've chosen to try some fan art. It's always neat getting notes from others, also trying shorter form content than usual videos, as well as for this one, sketch a bit more humorous, might as well experiment since I'm small. True, I got you. Yeah, so that's very interesting that you say that, because I've encountered the opposite problem as of late, in that I've been posting more fan art stuff, and that doesn't get much traction, but then I've seen people who post a lot of OC stuff, and that gets a lot of traction, which is great. Like, I love that for people. But just that when I switched to one, that the algorithm switched to the other was very interesting. I was like, I feel like I hopped on an opposite trend at the wrong time. But also I don't have that many OCs to play with, so it's not amazing. Also, I did post some OC stuff, and that didn't take off, so maybe I just have bad OC. Unrelatable OCs. And that's always my root fear, is like, maybe I just am not good. Maybe I just suck at my animations, and that's why people don't like them. Shall we switch problems? We can if you want. If you want to do more OC stuff. I think that's great. I really want OC stuff to take off for people, because I think that is way more fulfilling for a lot of people if they have OCs. I don't really have OCs. It's just more of like placeholder characters. So I don't really care what the subject of my animation is, as long as it's something that's going to catch your eye, as long as it's aesthetically appealing, whatever. And at this point, I'm just stuck in my style. I could alter it, and it will alter just over time in being exposed to more styles that I like and try and capture. But so far, I just like the way that I draw characters, and I don't know that maybe the audience is out there somewhere, but I just haven't found it yet, is how I look at it. Because I don't want to have to very specifically make an effort to change my style. I feel like that is insincere and also ineffective. I don't know how well I could even do that, because like my style didn't develop from me trying to develop a style. It's just the way that my hand moves at this point. So I don't know. Animations are good. Thank you very much. Do you not remember when I was on your live and I tried to set up Discord? I do remember that, and I know that it was rough. I have mainly been pumping out OCs left and right. Awesome. Has that been successful for you on social media? Not that I'm like, I need more likes to feel as though I've succeeded. More of like, I need a producer to get eyes on my things so I can have a stable job. I'm often told I'm merely having trouble finding the right audience. Hopefully that's all it is. I'm gonna chill and do animation. Nice. Well, I'll be here. Okay. Garfield looks fine. It's fine. I'm gonna jump in and try and start on Garfield. Okay. Does that sometimes. Okay. Let me check the... Nah, what, you haven't seen much success with your OCs? I'll switch back to OCs more often when I get some more work. In the end, I need word to get out that I'm available for work. True. We're going to get to Garfield. Yes, we're going to get to Garfield. Sorry, it always takes me a long time to get to the actual drawing of this, just because I want to study ahead of time. I made the mistake of not studying enough initially, and not like drawing it out for myself, because that's the best way for me to learn, is to actually do the thing that I'm trying to do. And so I would not actually do like a warm-up sketch of the character, and that's what led to me having trouble with like Sephiroth or other people, for instance, because there are instances where there are characters that require a lot more care, as opposed to like Bob the Tomato, who took me like 3 seconds per pose because he's a an oval with two more ovals. So that happens. Plus, I am still making the VN. The VN. Remind me what that is. Love Bob. I'm glad you love Bob. Okay. Going on Garfield. Remind me what the VN is while I go. Okay. And this should be a non-trusted website. But we'll see about that. Sometimes they surprise me. Sometimes they sneak them in there. Facial structure. I can do the lines. Not my best, not my worst. Do circles, why not? Let's do... This guy is always turned around. I don't see the eyeballs from here. Something. I feel like I'm missing something. Let's be more round or something. It's fine. That's not bad. Uh-oh. That won't be... Oh. I think, as funny as it is to say, I feel like color is very central to Garfield's design. But I could be wrong. space over here. I can go bigger. And it's people's mistake. That's better. What about it being at an angle is like throwing me off? They do kind of go up. Yeah, they do kind of go up like that. Yeah, it's not bad. This guy never looks at the camera. Never once. I'll give myself that one. What I've been forgetting is that, well, at least on that one, I forgot the jowls. Two more. I've got space down here. It's definitely mad at Odie or Normal. Yeah, kind of a Garf head. I actually don't know the name of the girl cat that Garfield has a tryst with. I don't know who that is. But I know that she looks just like Garfield but is pink and has eyelashes or something. To indicate girlness. like that one, but I did too many guidelines, so it kind of works together. But I'd say it's a success. I'd say it's a successful Garfield. Already a member. You want me to join? Like some of those Garfs. All right, gotta catch up with chat. Oh, visual novel. Oh yeah. You did tell me about that. Sorry, I'm not in the webcomic visual novel. You know, haven't done any webcomics or anything, so it's very cool. That makes sense. Lots of OCs there, very fantasy based. Favorite thing to draw, of course. All the armor and stuff. I need to get better with armor. You're very good with armor, and I need to get better at that for the sake of reflections and like how to dampen that light reflection. Designing armor too. Like I want to get better at designing armor so I can do better OCs for D&D because I have really cool characters. I just don't know how to depict them as cool as I envision them. Not because I don't know what they look like, but because I don't know what armor looks like. I need to figure out how it all, interlinks so then I can customize it. Because I've seen like very basic armor, but I want to customize it and do like bone fragments and stuff, or like robot pieces and stuff. So, to answer, they don't get good. Most I get is a like, and I got like 12 followers. As long as you're making it and enjoying it, that's all that matters. And that's kind of how I feel. Luckily, I have a lot of friends in real life that like all of my posts, which is very nice, and I appreciate that. One of my cousins is always the very first person to like my stuff, and I love it. It's very sweet, and I appreciate all of the support, truly. But I wonder how she does that, because like I don't know if you can set an alert for people on like Instagram. I know you can for YouTube. You can do like the bell and it'll notify you. I don't know if you can do that for Instagram. Yes, good luck. I wish you the best. I'm sure you will increase as long as you are consistent. Well, even consistency. I'm not consistent, so as long as you are dedicated to your craft and you love what you do, people who know that you love what you do, they can feel it through your art. They will come to you. More motivation to make the video. Nice. You may get a few likes. This workflow you have going is pretty cool. Thank you very much. I think it's a fun idea. I like that, one, it helps me. I can get better at copying styles for animation. I want to be able to work as even just like an in-between animator. I think I would love to do that. I know that's like lower on the rung of animation because you're not like creatively doing anything. You're kind of just copying styles, but there is still there's a magic behind in-betweening. You're not just drawing the direct in-between. Sometimes you're on 4s, sometimes you're on 3s. So you have to find different weird in-betweens. There's arcs, there's timing, spacing, whatever. And I enjoyed that. I like that because there's a mathematical formula to that. You can follow the arc, you can follow the pacing, the timing, whatever, and find that in-between really well. And so I want to be able to be that in-betweener for different styles. And so that's kind of why I wanted to do this, is so that I could do different characters, different styles, try and capture that style very quickly and emulate that to kind of refine my ability to become a chameleon, if you will, of style. I can copy somebody else's style, incorporate my workflow into that, and then make it happen. That's the appeal here, personally. And just, refining my timing, getting better, faster. Gesture is always really great. So there's a couple of things that are compounding that I can get done here. And I think that it's fun for people to like, hey, do this character, and then I can. But there is randomness to it because you gotta be invested. You gotta get people coming back. They gotta be like, oh, you're gonna get my character this time. Okay. Sketching this character in other characters' poses, I might try to improve my expressions once I'm less busy. Yes, that is the point of this, more or less. It's very fun. Hi, Lisa. Hello. I sub to loads of small artists. I bet you're an amazing artist. Is for sure. I actually started art in relation to D&D. There you go. You should put the cat that Garfield tried to ship to Latvia. What? Did he try to ship Nermal? I know he doesn't like Nermal. I DM an MMO player for my friend. I actually resulted in making a visual novel, which was cool. That's awesome. I have my own. I was the DM for a while for my group, and I have a couple of ideas that I want to incorporate, and I kind of want to make like an anime opening trailer for my party to then get back into it because I haven't DM'd in a while, and I think that would be really fun. Oh, I don't know who I'm doing yet. Let's spin the wheel, shall we? Any characters I need to add before I run it? I'm going to give you a second while I catch up with chat. If you want any characters, let me know. And you can look at the wheel, see if it's already on there. That's very fun. Yes. The more I read, the more you guys add. You, math, OMG. Yeah, not a fan of math, but when it's geometry, I was really good at geometry. I loved geometry because I could literally see what it was that I was doing with the shapes, with the, what were the proofs? With the proofs, I could see physically. I'm very visual when it comes to learning in general. So, geometry was fine, actually. And it actually helps with art. There's a lot of tricks that I learned in geometry that I can use with art where, like, if I'm trying to find the center of the canvas, if you draw a line from the corner of the canvas, both corners, those lines will intersect at the very center of the paper. That's one trick. There's several others, but yeah. I thought you said you hate Cullen. Well, whatever. Hate watchers are welcome to. I don't care. Yell at me. Just on Friday. It was normal. Okay. I figured. That's the only other cat I know from Garfield. Started with skipping line art, but for game assets, swapped to doing it again. Recently went back to painting without any lines. I'm back and forth on that too. I think it's fun to, when I do no lines, it's a lot more expressive and experimental and fun, and then I just kind of refine from there. And I do eventually start adding lines where it's like a hard edge and stuff, but I do that more for like landscapes where I just kind of blot in the larger shapes and then refine from there. I don't know that I do that for characters too much, but I did do that with the Sonic animation that I did based on the Sonic illustration. And that was actually super fast. But that was because I knew that I wanted to do color, so that did speed up the process. And so I just kind of blocked shapes in and did very rough poses and then refined from there. And that was fun, and it worked really well, actually. So I might start doing that for more expressive animations. But most of my stuff is, I want to have like that cleanness of line. We'll see. I'll try different stuff moving forward. In full, honestly, my last two paintings have been my favorite because the color's doing more work than the borders around separate parts. Nice. I bet you Googled it. You bet I Googled what? Normal? I know normal. Style will land on that in the end. BRB, you Googled it. Googled what? I didn't Google. Hi, welcome in. I didn't Google normal. Because if I Googled normal, I would have Googled the girl cat that I don't know. I will now Google the girl cat that I don't know. Garfield girl cat. What is her name? It's like, I was gonna say the... Arlene. Arlene. Is normal a girl? No, normal's not a girl. Okay. Glad I cleared that up. I very much care. Arlene is the girl. I don't know. What is it like Beth? Is that the name of the girl that John dates? Liz. Liz. I think it's Liz. Let me look it up. John Arbuckle. Girlfriend. I think they date or get married or whatever. Liz. Called it. I'm a Garfield head, alright? Alright. I think you Googled how to spell it. Oh, gotcha. I don't care. Doesn't matter. Nobody cares about normal. Alright, I'm spinning this. Nobody added characters. Here we go. I gotta have Gus on here. That's funny. Give me who? Let's go! We got Hobbs! Another cat character. Let's go. This. Hobbs. Fucking love Hobbs. Calvin and Hobbs is the best. I think that's what made me so much of a radical we'll call it a radical thinker. Calvin and Hobbes really allowed me to experiment with my imagination. And Calvin's based as fuck. Alright. Not Thomas Hobbes, Jesus Christ. believe Thomas Hobbes was a philosopher, which is kind of the idea for naming those characters. I think Calvin is based on there was like a sect. There was a guy who broke away from the church because he was a more radical thinker, I think. It was something Calvin, and then Hobbes was another philosopher, and that was the idea for the naming scheme. English philosopher and political theorist Thomas Hobbes. I don't remember who Calvin was based on. Can't remember. Anyway. Okay, there's a Calvin expression sheet. Can I get a Hobbes expression sheet? Not terrible. Okay. Just grab this one. Calvin and Hobbes. I did Calvin. Maybe that was last time. But I remember noting that they have pretty different styles that kind of evolved over the years as he was drawing, which does happen as you're drawing your character. You just kind of get into a groove and you really refine the best ways of drawing them. And Calvin and Hobbes is a very good example of, like, you could tell when it was that he made it because you can tell the style. Similar to Tom and Jerry and Looney Tunes. Their styles changed throughout the years as the artists got more comfortable drawing them. Why can't I find an expression sheet for Hobbes? This is insane. And there's certain instances. It's super important I get him right, though, because he also has, like, very... Like, here. He has very expressive eyes that change based on the expression, and sometimes it's a white eye that he has, and other times it's just the pupil. Most of the time it's just the pupil, but there are very specific instances where he has the scapula? No, scapula is back. Sclera. Sclera is the white part. Sclera. Usually it's pupils, then he has the whites on his eyes, so I need to figure out when that happened. And there's no expression sheets for Hobbes. Try just... Oops. Nope. Just Calvin. That's annoying. Okay. Well, oh my goodness. Chat's popping off. Let's go. What's up? Welcome in. I feel like I welcomed you in. Maybe not. Same Wolf Garfield. I wanted Snoopy. Snoopy was close twice. It almost was Snoopy twice. I'm not putting Nermal on the wheel. Why did you do that? This guy's cute. Yes. Hobbes is very cute. Hobbes is great. I highly recommend anybody who has not read Calvin and Hobbes to read Calvin and Hobbes. Super fun, super friendly, very cute. And I read it as a kid, and there were a lot of political undertones that I didn't quite pick up on that I would now. That are great. Okay. Because it's not like in your face political. It's just like, because that does get annoying, I will say. But it's very specifically just like the world from the perspective of a kid, and this is just how kids think. And it's the reason that it's so loved is that it's accurate to a T. Now, obviously the kid's more sophisticated than most because it's been written by an adult, but the way that he thinks, the way that he idealizes the world, very, very childlike wonderment. And I wish people would hold on to that more, as opposed to just being like, well, now you're an adult, you have to grow up, and you can't have these beliefs. And it's like, why? Why can't I expect the world to be a good place? I can make it one, and I will. Anyway, let me study Hobbes for a second. Oh, no normal. Oh, you meant the emoji. Okay. I don't know, whatever you're rambling about. Fine, I'll put normal. Fine, I'll do normal. Actually, no. He just looks like Garfield without color. He's just gray Garfield. Never mind. I changed my mind. It's just normal. No normal. I want to do a test where I find a picture of Nermal and a picture of Garfield and just grayscale it out and see if you can tell which one is which, just to prove a point. But I'm sure they are different enough. Fine, God, I'll put Nermal. God, damn it. That correct spelling? Nermal. Yes. Yeah, and I knew that because I'm a good Garfield fan. Alright, Nermal's on there. Jesus. Bloodlust for Nermal is ridiculous. But you better tune it. You better be here when it lands on Nermal. That's the stipulation. If it lands on it and you're not here to see Nermal, I'm not drawing him. Alright, let's do Hobbes. So he has a... He's got like this for his top of head. And then he's got like the scruff. And the scruff I'm going to go a little more wild with. Bottom is actually a shape instead of scruff, so that's good to note. Bigger scruff towards the top where it meets his eyes, and then he's just kind of got like stripes that delineate his eye line from his fur. Almost a unibrow, but then he does also just have eyebrows sometimes. I love the way that he does the mouth with the cheek, the little cheek fuzz. So good. Honestly, he does the thing I do with the white pupils. He doesn't color those in. I'm also gonna get rid of the eyebrow now. But he actually does eyebrows. He does the eye shapes, so he'll do like that for eyebrows, quote unquote. And he does do like, it's really extreme. Ears are just a little more towards the top, and they're very round. It's very Tigger. It's very what's another? What was the one from Jungle Book? Mel Blanc did him. The head waggle, iconic. Ka? No. Is Ka the snake? I don't know. I haven't seen Jungle Book in a long time. Don't bend to them, be strong. Can we put a flour sack on the wheel? No. Oh, you mean... I like that, actually. Yes. Flour sack's going on there. I was like, I thought you were trying to prove a point of, like, I'll just add whatever. The animation flour sack. Brilliant idea. Can't spell. Really good idea. Yeah. The flour sack is for those who aren't animators, the flour sack is, which does mean you're an animator. Haha, got you, pranked. For those who aren't aware, the flour sack is the default character that you use for the sake of practicing animation, in that you practice weight applied to a character, movement applied to a character, in a very basic shape. So generally, it's just because usually you start with a bouncing ball, you do the pendulum, you do the bounce, you do the, like, a throw potentially, you see a ball with a tail. These are common animation exercises, warm-ups, whatever, to convey weight, squash and stretch, timing, spacing, all those things for animation. And then you add that to a flour sack to convey weight, to convey acting, to convey, like, you're just adding a little bit more every time you practice with animation until you work your way up to character. So the flour sack is like the first character that you would draw, and it usually is just like generally like a this, and then you use the little tips on the ends to use for, like, expression. So then it would be like, if it was excited or surprised or something, it might be stretched up more, and it would have, like, it's surprised, and the little flour sack edges kind of, that's the flour sack generally. I've never actually done any flour sack expression experiments. I didn't get that far. Well, animation school, I didn't have that specifically in my program, and so I just kind of yeah. The rain is picking up and my power went out earlier, so hopefully my stream stays live. Just gonna put that out there. I didn't do any flour sack practice, and so I don't have that attachment to the flour sack, but it would be nice for me to practice because my flour sack that I just drew is pretty rough. Yeah. Also, Shere Khan. Thank you, Shere Khan. I do the normal thing to make you mad. Well, you better be here when Nermal shows up. I looked it up, showed up little white towels. I saw someone do that. Yeah. I'm being influenced. I'm back. By me. I'm influencing them to become an animator. I'm back. Welcome back. Hi, yeah. I'm gonna make an animator out of you. What do you mean by that? Mr. I'll make an animator out of you. That doesn't work. Also, my DVD stopped. Nobody told me. I should let people start voting on what we watch in the background, even though you probably can't see it. Damn. I wonder if you can hear that thunder. It's coming down. Let me open my window and see if you guys can hear it. Shut up, Jake. What? I wound up leaving my courses as they taught quite slow. My university had hate for digital medium. Interesting. 50% of it. It wasn't hate, but it was that they lied about what they had animation-wise. Sorry if that's sounding crazy. They lied about what they had animation-wise. They told me that they had, like, a full animation program, but it was, like, just graphic design and a little bit of, like, motion graphics. But that's not what I wanted. They didn't have any character animation, which sucks. So, yeah, I went to school. Yeah, I graduated. Sounds awesome. You hear the rain? It's lovely outside. I love the rain. for the sake of this, I will leave it closed so that you don't have to hear it. Alright. Okay, I practiced Hobbs. I think that's good. I think we're gonna just let it rip. They're also kind of in my way. Yep. I need that one. How about look at this? How about this isn't doing anything for me. Go to that one. Okay. Do this. Alright, I did not prepare for this. I feel like Hobbs kind of has that, like, cat mouth. Yeah, that's good. I like that. That's pretty solid. We want to do a tongue. Yeah, it's fine. I like that one. Well, we've got that scrunch right there. Just the no, I think I need the yeah, something like that. Yeah, that's better. Never looking at the camera. Okay, never looks at the camera. Get a tally. Can somebody start a little tally for how many times this guy shows up and doesn't look at the camera? I don't know why, but I tend to do really well with profile shots of characters. I don't know what that is, but like even my OCs, I do a really good job with profile shots. Because I never explicitly just practiced profile shots. But there's something about the asymmetry that makes it really easy. Because like a straight-on image, you got to get the eyes correct. You have to get the symmetry down, or your brain will tell you that it's wrong. Your brain is very good about picking up on symmetry in faces, and so you just got to nail it, or else. Maybe I've just encountered more profile shots in these figure drawings just by happenstance, and I just haven't picked up on that. Just had this one. concentrate on pretty mild expression. There. Not that expressive. And the no bitches pose. Bitches. I wanted one opportunity to do the white eye. Looking at the camera. This freaking guy. I did a commission for somebody recently, and I switched my brushes back. How many more? 2 more. I went a little big this time. Should be able to fit them. Looking at the camera. Because you can do whatever you want, right? But it's just like, at a certain point. Gotta give me something, right? I'm just kidding. I genuinely don't care. I'm glad that this man offered his services and was willing to put himself out there on the internet for me, for free, to be able to draw him. Genuinely no shit. Trying to get out ahead of being canceled, even though I've been canceled already for, what was it? What did I do? Because I said you were a fake fan. I already forget what I got canceled for. There's Hobbs. That one. This is also a really good pose that I usually get, is like a 3/4 up. So I might have been great at the Frieren redraw trend that was going around, but I'll never know. I didn't do it. Okay. Can't quite find you. I'm on IG and Blue Sky. If you have access to the Discord server, I posted stuff there. I did an animation, posted it on YouTube. You did? Awesome. Actually, I have 2 quick things here, and I find it hilarious that they were a few years apart exactly. Like, to the day. That's pretty funny. I bet they are great. They are great. Wolverine also plays D&D. Can't find Lisa. I wonder if there's another good way to get you on Pinterest. My profile is a husky drawing. Play a lot of TTRPGs. D&D is kind of my favorite. Your least favorite? Wow. Plenty of people who play with me pay for commissions. Nice. That's how you do it. Don't post much. I should post more. You should. Everybody should. Show off your stuff. Alrighty. Let's spin that wheel, shall we? Oh, let me get rid of Hobbs. D&D systems are limiting and kind of but me and my friend ended up making custom TTRPGs with D&D as our gateway. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know if my friends and I would be able to switch very seamlessly over to a different one because we know D&D so well off the top of our head, and so to switch would be very daunting. Your stuff is bad. I'm sure your stuff is not bad. Arnold! I wasn't even paying attention. Oops. Football head. Oh, interesting. That's like original. He's not very expressive. Maybe that's why I didn't like Hey Arnold in a world of like SpongeBob's and Courage the Cowardly Dogs. I didn't really watch Hey Arnold because it was very like monotone. It was very, I don't want to say adult humor, but it was like the jokes were very thinky and there weren't a lot of slapstick punchlines, you know. And to a kid, obviously I have better taste now. I can see when jokes are good, right? But I don't have to have somebody get hit in the head for it to be funny anymore. But I grew up with Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, right? I mean, reruns of those. Obviously, I'm not from the 40s. But there was something about, like, Rugrats, I think, was the same, where it wasn't really visual gags. It was very writing heavy. And at that point, I didn't have media literacy to understand the necessity. But like these are usually in a character expression sheet, you do the extremes of the character. So this is the extreme of Hey Arnold, which is pretty sad to me anyway. Oops, hold on. Sorry. Like this is kind of boring, you know? Like the design is very interesting. I like that they made him a football head, whatever. I like the character designs, but they didn't push them for expressions. And so to me it's like you lost out on that opportunity. Like his head never changes shape. Like I'm thinking like Are Real Monsters or like what was that show called? It was the cats, and it was, I know all the character names. I don't remember the show name. It was Mr. Blick and Waffle and Scratch? No, I don't remember the other one. But it was the cat. It was a show about the cats. But they like change their shape. They get very like they're just very basic character shapes, but then they like squash and stretch and all to accommodate the joke. Because like you want to, every part of whatever it is that you're doing animation wise should emphasize punchline or the story or the like. Why limit yourself in a medium without limits, very specifically? So it's strange that these are the most expressive poses for the main character of your show. I think that's why I didn't like Hey Arnold. I don't hate it. I haven't watched it in a while. I haven't watched it since I've developed that knowledge of media literacy to compare it to other things, you know. But I think my critique of the character will stand the test of time. Because character designs are great. I love how out there they are. They grab your attention. They're unique. It's not just like the CalArts bean-shaped face style. And I always love when it's like very unique. I loved the Rugrats for the sake of the boiled line animation, that nothing was sitting still ever. And that again enhanced the idea of like, this is from the perspective of babies. They have weird vision. They're trying to figure out light and shape and color. And so their vision is warbling. So this is kind of how babies see. And so or an interpretation of how babies see. So that's, you know, it's contributing to the story. So at the very least, I can say that Rugrats did it better than Hey Arnold, in my opinion. Let's see. Still looking at your art. Art is art. If you want to commercialize it and have strange standard, but otherwise it's all good, fun and good. Pathfinder had the same issue as D&D. Interesting. Issue being that it was too restricting. Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to think what my alternative is. I don't know if anybody's ever seen XP to level 3 on YouTube. He's a YouTuber and he does like D&D related content, telling horror stories, telling how to be a good DM, you know, that type of stuff. And he did a Fallout, he like custom made a Fallout world TTRPG. And it looked really fun and I would love to do it, but I don't think my friends would be on board. Just because, again, we're so used to D&D, so. Genesis and Savage Worlds, interesting. I love homebrewing, and that's kind of how we keep it fresh in D&D, is that most of our DMs are very chill about, like, we try and balance stuff. If there's ever a moment in the gameplay, we're all very close. We've known each other for a long time, so nobody's afraid to be like, hey, that's fucking busted. You can't do that anymore. In the game, we'll just be like, is this how this should work? And then other people are like, it could be busted if you use it this way, but if you promise not to use it that way, then we don't really care, type of thing. Or if it's completely busted, we're just like, don't do that. I made a couple of custom spells that I think are very fun and not entirely busted, considering. Because they scale with level, but yeah, I think it's fun to do like custom characters, custom spells. We've come up with a lot of custom races, which are really fun, and I've tried to design them around like their the animal traits that they have, or like most of them were animals when it comes to like bugs or I did an ooze race that was very fun, and the oozes I had like a whole backstory, and like oozes function as hive minds, and the ooze splits and sends out little recon creatures that like scout the world and report back to give more information to the hive mind. Very fun, in my opinion anyway. And so I wanted to make sure that my ooze character was not busted, but they have like resistance to a lot of damage types, but they have hindrances to mobility, and you know, you just kind of balance it out. It's very fun. Fun utilization of magic systems, creativity with those restrictions, ways to make combat more involved for every person. Yes, that's something else, is like making sure to highlight each person playing. The only problem we have with that is that we have so many people playing. We've got like 8 people in our group. It's too many. We got to figure that out. I like the maturity of Hey Arnold, but it wasn't pushing the limits. Yeah, I think that's what the appeal was, is that it was a little bit higher than normal cartoons, where it's one of those cartoons where it's like, this isn't specifically for kids. This is a medium that is a little bit higher, because, you know, most people go, cartoons, those are for children. And it's like, listen, man, there's a lot of depth that you can convey with animation. Specifically, there's a lot of things that you can do in animation that you can't do with CGI. No matter how much you over CGI something, you can't achieve that with animation. So, I can respect when an animation thing does restrict itself. However, putting it next to those other cartoon. Ed, Edd n Eddy is another good one where they're just like crazy expressions. So for me, as like an 8 to 10-year-old, I want to see the thing that's going to make me laugh more consistently, whereas Hey Arnold, I have to be like actively paying attention to get the joke, whereas if I just glance over, if I'm playing with my toys and I look at Ed, Edd n Eddy, I can see what the joke was, bam, I'm laughing. If I'm looking at Hey Arnold, or if I'm playing with toys but I'm listening to Hey Arnold, I'm not, there's just, I don't know. Maybe Hey Arnold is better. I don't know. I should watch Hey Arnold. I haven't watched it in a while. Watched him years ago. It was pretty fun. Could be fun to revisit. The rain is making the live glitch out. Uh-oh. That's not good. Cat Scratch. Oh my god, you're so right. It is Cat Scratch. You now have one more Pinterest follower. And here I am with a 4th person group. Thanks. Funnily, I never use Pinterest. I don't like Pinterest because it constantly demands that I log in, and I don't want to. I just want to be browsing on Google and find an image and go, mine. Let me check my live real quick. It doesn't say that it's lost stream. Is anybody else experiencing issues on their end? Question, do you know of 1000? No, I don't know what that is. At least not super familiar with it. I think it's just Lisa's live. Hopefully it's not mine, but also I also hope that Lisa's not having issues. Okay, let me study Hey Arnold real quick. Sorry, my friends are blowing up my phone. Football head. I did love they really did manage to capture the relationship between Arnold and, is it Helga? Or Olga? Helga. Who is Olga? Olga's from something too. Anyway, they really accurately captured the relationship between a girl and a boy in grade school who like each other but don't admit it and have to take out that like weird liking each other frustration different ways, because I had that happen to me several times when I was growing up, where I would have girls who liked me but I didn't know it at the time, and they would bully me, and I was like, what are we doing here? Can we like what part of you being mean to me is gonna make me like you more? What but like, kids don't know any better, so obviously I'm not like mad about it now, but it was just thinking back on it as a kid, my mentality was just like, get off of me. What are you doing? Stop hitting me. But I imagine on their end, their way of expressing it was like, in being in close contact with me will make him like me more. He'll see me in his periphery and know that I'm there, and that alone is enough to make him like me. Or not, I don't know. I never went back and asked them. They're all... Shockingly, the people from grade school are not in my life anymore. I think I only have one friend from grade school that I am like in direct contact with, and he's my best friend. Yeah. It just works that way sometimes. Is gone now. Am I glitching? 1000 is another artist on YouTube. Interesting. He might be more your liking than Mariah. Cullen's likes. You can check him out too if you want. Shocking indeed. 1000. I will write that down. Sounds vaguely familiar, and the other thing I have trouble with, I'm really bad with names, so even like going back and forth between the Discord, I have trouble remembering everybody's usernames, given they vary every once in a while, very slightly. But when I'm watching YouTube videos, I will not remember the artist's name. I will just remember the name. I'll remember the name of the video usually, or at least whatever's listed in the thumbnail. Which does become an issue if what's in the thumbnail is not what the title of the video is, where I'll remember the thumbnail but not the actual description. And so then I can't go back and find that video unless I usually just browse through my history. And I'm pretty good about, like, when I'm watching something, I will like it or add it to a playlist, so then I know that I will go back to it because it's a good enough video for me to want to keep. So I might have watched some of his stuff and just not remembered it. But yeah. Same, I'm awful with names. Even in person, I'm so bad with names. I will shake somebody's hand, look them in the eyes, they will say their name, and because I was so focused on shaking their hand properly and, like, doing the right amount of pressure so as to not break their hand, but also to seem like a normal human being without a limp wrist, in me thinking about the pressure of my handshake, I will just not hear their name. I will just completely... just, like, whatever it is that I'm doing, I'm always just like, I gotta nail it. I'm performing being social. I'm performing in front of other people, and I have to appear normal, and I'm not. And in doing that, I have auditory, I have a really crazy ability where, like, if somebody is talking to me, I can just shut out whatever it is that they're saying, on purpose or not. Sometimes it's a hindrance. Sometimes it's a blessing. Sometimes I'm talking to somebody and I'm just like, yeah, this isn't going anywhere. I don't like you. And I can just turn it off and I'm like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm so bad with names. So I've made a point to be better about it, and it helps with me working as a wedding photographer. When I meet the bride and groom, I will, like, I make a very specific note of it, and then I will write their names down in my phone so that I know for sure, because the worst thing that I would ever want to do is call somebody the wrong name in a group of, just, like, to their face after I've been working with them for, like, 5 hours, you know what I mean? So I always write it down, and I'm just like, okay. In writing it down, that helps reiterate that I know that name. In seeing the emails ahead of time, I always scout, and I'm like, the longer I have the opportunity to know that name ahead of time, the better. I will just make super note of that, and then those are the only names I know for the day. I will forget my own mother's name if it means that I can remember theirs. He does these art battles between him and other artists. That's very fun. Mine is different on here. See? There's one. Ooh, fun. I do the same thing. He's super chill and friendly vibes. Nice. Gotta go for tonight. Oh, well, thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Later, Kuro. It was fun hanging. I'm glad you were here. Thank you for being here. Bye. You are a wedding photographer. I am currently a wedding photographer. I just do it on the weekends, so you never will encounter me. It'll never be an issue of streaming. Sometimes I do Fridays. Sometimes we have Friday weddings, but I am actively a wedding photographer. And it's fun. I really enjoy it. It's not, like, my creative outlet, but it is a creative outlet. Because since I went to school and they lied about animation that they had classes for, I decided, well, you've got a shit ton of photography, so I'm just going to do photography. And I like photography. I started photography in high school at the same time I started drawing. And I went all in on art in high school, and that was just kind of my thing. But yeah, I like photography. It's just not my forte. Like, I'm never the guy who's like, oh, I'm really interested in, like, this lens or whatever. Like, that's not what I love. Photography is limited in that where you do have to know your cameras, you do have to know your lenses, you have to know time of day, you have to do settings and all the lighting and stuff, which I do very slowly pick up on trends for that. I have a general knowledge of all of that, but there's also a lot of timing involved in photography, and I don't like that. Like, to get a sunrise or a sunset, you have to time that out perfectly, and if you miss it, and that can ruin the entire thing. I hate that. So I could never make that my job for myself. Like, I want my job full-time to be animation specifically, but something that I am always involved in, which is animation. So, drawing, you know, I could do that too, where it's like, there's this freedom in doing that, where even if I'm given a request from somebody about, hey, can you animate this for me, I can still add my own personal spin, whereas photography is kind of just me knowing where to be. There's no other style to add to it beyond editing. You can have like high contrast, low contrast, stuff like that. There are still styles you can do, but it's usually about the setting or the subject rather than the method, right? That's not very skater boy of you. Interesting. Good night. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. Photography is very skater adjacent. It is. Photography and skating go hand in hand. I had a friend who, very specifically, he's still a photographer and he does like gallery art photography. And he was a skater. He was a skater. Probably still skates. But like his first subjects were like the people that he skated with, because after you're done skating and it's your friend's turn, because there's only one rail at a time, you gotta wait your turn, and so on the in-between moments you're photographing your boys, and if you're a skater who wants to get sponsored, then you need somebody to photograph you so he can facilitate that, and it's a very communal environment. You're just helping each other out, that support, running from the cops, never leave your boy behind, that type of stuff. So yeah, skating and photography go hand in hand in being kind of like grungy, underground, capturing the moment, counterculture, I want to say like contemporary art, in that it's like whatever you are doing for enjoyment in a certain moment, whatever culture you're in, and to photograph that is capturing like contemporary art, essentially, like whatever's happening in the world. And that was one of the projects that I did, was like at that moment in college, to capture just my life day to day was a descriptive moment, and a lot of that focused on D&D. And so I photographed me and my friends playing D&D, hanging out outside of D&D, and it was a really fun series, and that was just my life. And at that time I was doing a lot more adventurous things, hanging out, going to different places, just whatever. So I had a lot more content there. But now, if I were to photograph my day-to-day, it would be me sitting in this room. And that wouldn't be nearly as impressive, and so that's why I think I kind of stagnated on photography. Is someone said that I would send them to a mental facility? Someone said I would send them to... What? Have you already tried applying to different animation studios? Yes, I have. I applied to... Let's see. I recently reached out to somebody who said they had an in at, shit, I had it and I lost it. It's a bird. No, wait, is it something tit? Not good tit. What is it called? It's not big tit. There's a lot of birds that are named Tit. What is it? Something Tit. Good Tit Studio or something? Like who talks about amazing lenses. Oh, gotcha. Yeah. Oh, if someone said that, I would send them to a mental facility. I understand. Okay. I mean, to each their own. If you're really into that, I'm very happy for you, but that could never be me. That's all. Bungee jumping. Have you ever done bungee jumping? I have not done bungee jumping. Have you done bungee jumping? I mean, you are filming yourself in a room right now. It's just video instead of photography. Yeah, but this isn't like... Yeah, I'm not a videographer. My photography is a lot more fun. I really like going to, like, cities and photographing the city life and just people walking, or, like, just different environments that aren't the tourist stuff, because every time I go somewhere and there's like a billion people surrounding, the Eiffel Tower or whatever it is, and I'm just like, yeah, but look at the architecture over here. I really like the way that this is organized. I really like this street art. I really like the way that this guy is just standing against this massive wall and it's just him, and I don't know. That's my style of photography, is just street photography. Yeah. I might be too young if that is a thing. I think there is an age limit on bungee jumping. Do you still have pictures? Some you can share. Let me see what I have. I'll be right back. I do have some. Give me one sec. I have some pretty close by, I think. did some of them. Let me adjust my stream so you can see my camera a little better. Let's do... Oh. Hold on. Sorry, I'm back. I forgot. I just went on a whole spiel about how much this project means. Hold on. So what happens is, I had to delete my other mic input on this scene that I've been transitioning to for the camera. I deleted the old mic because every time I open this program, I have to make a new mic because for some reason it doesn't fucking pick up. So I put it back. Anyway, as I've been showing these, I was talking about how this project means a lot because in retrospect, a lot of the people in my group are part of the LGBTQ community. And so a lot of them were transitioning during this period, and whether or not they even recognized it at that time, it was just this moment of like being communal, being experimental in that, discovering yourself, you know, just being yourself around these people. We were the most ourselves we've ever been, and luckily we're all still very good friends, and so we can still share that experience with each other. And I would love for it to be the case that because of the way that we came together in college, we still have that bond and we are still kind to each other in that way. And it allowed us to feel comfortable enough to continue to be those people moving forward. we're all still very LGBTQ plus friendly, and we're just a very fun, loving group of people who are very kind all around. It is very awesome. It is very beautiful. You're doing it, brother. I saw how animated you were. Thank you. Hello, Cullen. I am alive. Hold on. I'm trying to center this. I'm working with the camera. I'm going backwards. Yeah. So I was just, we went around Cincinnati and just dicked around. Sometimes I requested that we go different places. Other times it was just like people were going somewhere and I was like, I'll bring my camera. Let's fucking do it. Let's go to some bars. I love how fucked up these all are. And I wish I had a better camera at the time, but, college kid, too poor to buy a new one. So, and you can tell how much I care about these images because I'm just throwing them over there in the background. No, these are all folded up, but I still have the digitals somewhere. So I could reprint them if I ever wanted to. There we go. Wait, Cullen, are you LGBTQ? I mean, I'm an ally for sure. I am not. I'm a cis, straight white man. But I want to be. I've never had, like, gender dysphoria or anything like that. So, I don't know what that feels like, but I can certainly be an ally. I have a lot of trans friends, a lot of non-binary friends. And that's just never been something that I personally felt, but I'm always going to support my friends in that way. I really love this picture because this captures all of their personalities so well. This is the best picture of all three of them that I think I've ever taken. So I'm a member of the community in that I am an ally. And I want to be a good example for other cishet people. I love that I have a picture of that picture in this picture, because this was at the gallery where everybody showed up. When I showed the initial thing, and then I kept going. I think I did another semester of this, potentially. And so at the actual gallery showing, I took a picture. And it was very fun. Sorry, I'm bouncing all over the place. I want to be a good example for people who are cishet to see that there are other people out there, like, for everybody who's like, oh, it's a trend, it's a fad, it's a ideology they're pushing on kids or whatever. I want to show people that, like, you can have gay friends and not be gay. Like, there's nobody's telling me to be gay, nobody could convince me of that. So, right, I want to be a good example of you can just be yourself and have friends like that and not be afraid that they're going to randomly try and kiss you or whatever they fear, because that's not an issue. But I digress. That's beautiful. Very wholesome. That fits your brand to a T. You're doing great. Thank you very much. So good. A picture of a picture in a picture. You are a good example. Well, thank you. I'm glad I can be that. I like to think of myself as, like, well, I don't have any siblings, but I was raised with my cousins, so I like to think of myself as an older brother, and I think I've kind of fostered that mentality for myself. I was also a mean older brother at a point, and I have since, like, apologized for that to my cousins, of being like, hey, I was shitty, I apologize, I'm different now, I'm better, I've worked on myself, I've changed, I've grown, and I want to be able to be that good older brother who doesn't beat up his younger siblings. Now, I didn't do anything so extreme that, like, it was truly like the older brother of, remember that time you pushed me through a coffee table? I didn't do that, but just those basic things. Oh, I have way too many siblings. That's funny. So I want to be that vibe of, like, older brother who's just like, I'm gonna give you advice. I'm gonna be here as, like, a stable whatever. If you need to come to me for whatever, I want to be that guy. And if that's for everybody, that's great. If I can be that person for art, specifically, that's awesome. But like, you know, if you're thinking certain things and you want to run it by somebody, I am here. I am here. I could never be the older brother. That's okay. Right. I do kind of want. I'm gonna pick these up. It's bothering me that they're just on the ground. It took me a while when I was working on this project. I had a really great teacher, luckily, who he was very forgiving when it came to photography. He was so aware of what our struggle was as artists, being younger people, still kind of trying to find ourselves. He was like, day one, he walked in, he was like, hey, here's the deal. Everybody else, every other teacher you've ever had wants you to have everything figured out and to finalize these projects and make them so that they are ready to be entered into a professional gallery. And you guys are like barely 20. Don't put that pressure on yourselves. I'm 39 and I don't know what I'm doing. Like, right? He was very forgiving and very understanding, and he was like, listen, we're just going to spend this semester, we're going to experiment, we're going to let you guys do whatever it is that you think you need to do to come to some kind of, like, I just want to see you progress. That's all it has to be. It doesn't have to be progressed to a final product. We don't have to have a product. But I want you to refine your process, hone your skills, develop in some way, right? And I've lived with that my whole life. I live by that. I will never forget him and his advice. He was great. And it was so shocking to me too, because everybody that I had talked to beforehand taking his class said that he was just a piece of shit, like an angry guy, an asshole, he sucked. And I was like, this guy fucking rules. You suck. You're bad. What did you do to piss him off, right? He's a cool guy. Well, yeah, because I'm a girl, but also because I could never be the bigger person. That's funny. Like, influencer. Sure. If I can influence you to be a good person, then yes. So I love that guy. Shout out to him. He knows who he is. I don't need to dox anybody. But yeah, I've lived with that idea. And at the beginning of the semester, he was like, just come in with like the idea of a project. And I did, and he shot it down, and I didn't take offense to it, because I was honest with myself in that moment, and I understood. I was like, I'm just throwing shit at the wall, seeing what sticks. It didn't stick. I can start over. I didn't put that much investment into it in the first place. I knew that it was kind of a half-assed idea anyway. I didn't know necessarily what I wanted to do. I was just doing the assignment, and he knew that, and I was honest with myself to understand that I could separate the art from myself and not take it as a personal attack in him rejecting that project. And so I think he recognized that too, that I was so able to separate those, because he just gave me his honest feedback. I took some pictures of myself. He was like, this feels like somebody who's just taking pictures for the sake of like headshots or whatever. Like these look like you're doing them and they're technically good, but there's nothing behind it. And I was like, you know what? You're 100% correct. That I didn't have an idea. I was just like, I don't have a subject. I don't have a purpose. I'm just going to do this. This is what I know. This is what I have available to me. And in that honesty with myself and with him, I was able to refine this idea. And he was like, you know what? I see a lot more capacity here. I see there's a lot more potential with this project, because he saw the honesty of, this is what is actually going on in my life. These are the people that I actually care about. These are the things that I care about doing with these people. And he encouraged me to keep doing that. And it was, by the end of it, it was very beautiful. And it taught me a lot about art making. It taught me a lot about the process itself. And it taught me how to be honest with my subjects, to be honest with the things that I'm doing. And so now when I make art, I only make things that I personally enjoy the process of doing. I don't make art for other people. I mean, if I do commissions, sure. But I don't make art for the sake of trends. I don't make art for the sake of whatever, because I don't want it to be hollow. I don't want it to mean nothing. So I make art of things that I like. I make fan art of things that I care about. I make OC stuff. And a lot of what I make currently is like practice anyway. So, you know, just whatever it takes. But it's still stuff that I'm invested in, right? So I carry that with me, and I encourage you to do that as well. And to be honest, and to reflect on yourself and go, is this my best art? Is this the best thing? do I actually like this thing that I'm making art about? If the answer is ever no, you should not do that. Unless you need the paycheck. Get your money. I'm not going to tell you not to do that. But if it's for yourself, like it was in that college class, be honest. Better if I stacked them all up and then folded them, but it didn't. And now it's too late. An artist that I really liked in college when we were coming up with artists that inspired us, learning art history and stuff, and I forget her name, but she was a woman who went to New York, and I believe she just like lived with a bunch of drag queens in the late 70s, early 80s, and it was during the AIDS epidemic, and it was this documentation of like first living in that area, being in New York, being an artist, hard enough as it is, but then to document these experiences that drag queens were experiencing during the AIDS epidemic. And there was a lot of brutality, and like some of them would have black eyes in images, and then other people would be like covering it up like with makeup so that they could perform. And it was like just this raw, genuine experiences that people had, and this closeness and this like desperation to survive in this time where you were demonized by everybody and everything, and then being afraid of even the people that you cared about because it was so demonized. And so it's a really beautiful art series, and I've kind of compared that photography project to that. Not that we weren't going through anything that's severe, no AIDS epidemic, whatever, but the idea of like just documenting things that were actually happening around you during that time in your life, and being in an inclusive group, whereas the world around you is not very inclusive. Ohio is not super inclusive, and so I've had to educate a lot of people on those things. And I'm always willing to do that, and I think coming from a straight white man, it's a lot easier to take when there is, for whatever reason, they've decided I have some authority. They trust me more than they would trust somebody with dyed hair or with piercings or whatever. And so I can use my guys and say, hey, actually it's really fucked up to persecute people for no fucking reason. So let's not do that, right? And if I can do it, you can do it. Because I'm just like you, jerk. I'm not a jerk, but you know, they see that I look like them and they go, oh wow, this guy has some interesting points. Whereas I'm saying the exact same thing that other people who are being persecuted are saying, just with a different face. And so it sucks, but it sucks that that's the way that they have to hear it. But I will do that for other people, on behalf of other people who would be targeted otherwise. So that's how I see that, is like we grew up in this time and I was documenting it and we were communal. And that's the parallel that I'm drawing. I'm not suggesting that I'm some excellent artist in that same way. Anywho, let's get back to drawing my Arnold. Being surrounded by good, understanding people helps make one a better person. I agree. I like Bugs Bunny. You care about him, right? It's very funny you say that. I always compare myself to being Bugs Bunny in that I will do anything for a bit as long as it's funny and not hurting somebody who isn't a bad person, right? Because Bugs Bunny only ever hurts bad people. He only ever hurts Elmer Fudd. He only ever hurts Daffy Duck, right? He doesn't hurt good guys. He will always sacrifice himself for the sake of the bit to save somebody else who is good, right? So I compare myself to Bugs Bunny in that way. I think it's fun. And the chaos of being, wacky and wild and doing funny shit. Thanks for sharing this story and the art that it came from. I love that story. The story time with Cullen. I'm glad you liked it. Thank you. I'll try and share some more stories more often. Because it does inform my art in that I'm trying to be helpful. I want to make lessons. I want to do tutorials. I'm providing. I want to be able to provide a safe space in the Discord for people to be themselves and to care about each other and each other's work so that other people can have that same experience that I did. Because I had a group of friends who still support me in me making art. They begrudgingly sat there while the flash went 1,000 times every session right in their eyes. And I can never thank them enough for that. And that they still support me. I have one of my friends commissioned stickers for, she's a history teacher, and so she commissioned stickers to give to her students. And one, great that she's supporting the arts, but two, that she cares so much about her students that she's willing to pay her own money that she gets minimally as a teacher to give it back to the kids. I fucking love that. Also, my business cards came in. So there's Good Bit Studio, my official business card. I'm not going to put the other side on there that has all my information just in case. But if for some reason this went viral, I think you're doing that. I'm glad it shows. Okay, let's do Arnold. I designed it myself, and I did it in, I don't know if you can really tell, but like the little graphic on the background is just a Blender. I shattered a cube on Blender into different fragments, and then I just changed the lighting. And then green screened it out and put it on the background of the card. Instead of using AI, when I went to, I think it was Vistaprint that I made them with, the first thing, it was like, AI your own business card, you do AI. And I was like, how about I fucking don't and use my own shit? And I have a creative brain and the means to do so I'll do it myself. For free, in fact. I used Blender, which is a free program, and I used Photoshop, which I do have to pay for, but I pay for. I like that card. I'm glad you like it. Dang it, I was going to rob you. It doesn't have my address on it. It just has my direct phone number, so I don't necessarily want to give that out to people. That's a card I want to have to throw at people. I would love for people to give out my information, but I can't have it. I paid good money. I paid like $15 for 50 of them? Anyway, let's do Hey Arnold. Let me practice. So he's got a rounded top part. His ears droop. This is such a weird style. He's so bizarre, but I love it. I would rather it be bizarre than tame. How's that? I would rather it be this than... Because I do, as much as I love animation, I get tired of the CalArts style. And I really miss when it was, truly experimental. Okay, so he's got 4 tufts. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so the tufts numbers don't matter. Good to know. Baseball hat can indicate depth and form. If it goes up, I can have it tilted up if his head was up or back, or I can have it down if he's looking down to indicate shape. Positioning, or I can just have it like that on top. Normal. Any baseball hat. I don't think I even recognized that was a baseball hat until recently. I don't think as a kid I paid attention enough. I don't know what I thought that was, but maybe I thought it was a yarmulke. And then just circle eyes. Pretty close to the edge. Pretty big. Small pupils. Big nose, and teeny tiny mouth. I also don't think I recognized that they had shading on him. deal. I mean, that's Hey Arnold. He winces. He's got eyebrows. If he ever changes, he can do that. Or like neutral Arnold has eyebrows. He's very chill. He can squint. He can do that. He's scared or sad. Okay. I'm pushing the expressions to denote how those are indicated on Arnold specifically. Oh, sorry. Jesus. Oh my god. I'm so bad at streaming. I'm a professional streamer. Well, I got rid of it. Hold on. I did it. Okay. This is what I was doing. I was breaking it down. Bummer. I don't know if... Guess I'm too old to appreciate good business cards. I'm old enough to appreciate good business cards. Yes. Okay. Got it. Sorry. We'll see when he looks up. I looked up. I wouldn't know. How long was I drawing without looking up? I guess all of this. Anyway, because my mic was still working. The problem is, let me explain myself. I have the YouTube chat pulled up separately because my, Streamlabs, for whatever reason, there's a glitch where you can't drag and open the chat window any wider, so I can't see it on here, so I always open a YouTube panel on a separate thing, so then I know what you guys are actually saying, because I can't read half of what you say if it's still open on Streamlab. So I was looking at the Streamlab to see what I was actually streaming. I gotta fix that. I need to switch over to OBS is what I need to do, and then I need to figure out how to do dual streaming with YouTube and Twitch. Every time I sit down to do something, I always fixate on the art stuff, and I feel like if I'm not doing art stuff, then I'm not being productive, and so then I don't ever fix the things that need to be fixed that probably wouldn't actually take that long if I just sat down and did it. But I'll get there eventually. Anywho. Let's do Arnold. Run it back. Oh, dear God, I don't know what he looks like from the side. I imagine it's something like this. See, I don't know what the back of his head looks like hair-wise. I just made him look like Sephiroth, or not Sephiroth, Cloud. Right. Yeah, the turn head for Arnold is wacky. I don't know why I didn't predict for that, because this guy never looks at the camera. Truly is just a football head. Character just like doesn't have a mouth sometimes. I do better about the proportions. Here's a straight-on shot. This should be a piece of cake, considering all this reference I have. Easy peasy. Every time I draw him, I think of the yellow beaver from the Talking Beavers. Is that the name of the show? I recently looked it up, and I completely forgot about them because they're odd names that I wouldn't remember. Angry Beavers, that's the one. Thank you. I knew there was an adjective. They're talking, they're angry. Well, I guess talking would have been a verb. Whatever. I know my English language. Hearts on my stream, and I appreciate that. Whoever you are. Oh dear, how do I draw his eyes at this angle? Just like that. And that is his nose, not his hat. We'll see if I can... I don't think I'll be able to squeeze his hat in there. We'll keep that line for the sake of his eyebrows. I'm gonna move him towards the edge. See you in my periphery, the hearts. Thank you. Welcome in if you're new. Sorry, I will address the chat momentarily. Stick around until the end of this. I only have 3 more drawings. I will address you. Like a lemon head. Okay, two more. One sec. I don't know if I've ever seen. You know how you see like Simpsons, forward-facing Simpsons memes every once in a while. I don't think I've ever seen forward-facing Arnold characters. Be nicer with the hair this time and not have him be bald in the back. Do that. Something in there. Got too big. Good, pretty good. I'm happy with that one. Cool. Yeah, this one I made him bald. He looks like a cat. Okay. Let's get somebody new in here. Let's get rid of it. All right. Spends like an hour talking about how being kind is important only for Lisa to yell. You're good. I know you're not. Why is he on the phone? I'm not on the phone. Kind of sucks. There isn't some alert. If you don't look up, I would have tried to get your attention on Discord. Discord actually gets muted when I'm streaming. There's like a streaming mode, and it won't ping me. More reasons for me to have me as your manager. YouTube says you have been live for 32 minutes. That is not right. That is incorrect. We can exchange business cards. Do you have a business card? I vote for Wolverine to be your manager. I need to get a cool card. You mean Angry Beavers? You are correct. Yo, 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 what's good? Welcome in. What's up? Nothing much. How are you? Nothing. Lol. I'm very old, actually. Like 100? 120. Wow. That's wild. Lol, pretty young. Oh, that might be why Discord hates you. True, they're trying to do the age restriction thing. Hey, after further studies, I've come to realize contour lines are more like building blocks, right? Like the foundation. Depending. It depends on what you're going for style-wise. I think that, I guess it kind of depends on what you're talking about when it comes to contour, because, like, for gesture, a contour line is specifically you just do the outline of the form, and that would be the contour line. But for animation, contour line is more of, like, the outline of each shape for the character. So, like, if you want, you can have a contour line outside of every single, like, let's say you're doing puppet animation, you can have a contour line outside of, like, the hand versus the sleeve versus the jacket versus the hat versus the hair, you know. You can have a contour line for everything. Contour line just defines the shape of whatever your subject is within that area. It is quite literally just the outside. So if you're trying to do realism, if you're trying to do, like, more painterly style, I would recommend against contour lines, because the contour line will very specifically sharpen the edges, but that's not necessarily realistic. Like, let's say I have these two white objects right next to each other. This line right here that separates the two of them that you might delineate for yourself is not nearly as harsh as if it was a black line, right? This is going to be, since it's two white things, they're going to be overlapping in a way that they don't cast a shadow on each other since they're touching. And so there would be no black outline, and you would probably just do very slight shading to show that those are the borders. Or you can show the borders, the implied borders, in, like, if they're stacked on top of each other like this, you can see the edges here are different, and so these edges will inform the rest of the shape. So where it hangs over here and hangs over here, your eye will naturally, hopefully that's in frame, your eye will naturally showcase the implied line. Like, even if this was all white against this that was all perfectly white, because this is jutting out and this is jutting out, your mind would actually connect those lines, and the implication being, because you recognize it as a book or a piece of paper or whatever, your brain will fill in that gap. So sometimes contour lines are great for defining outside lines, especially if it's like a, let's say, a black subject on a white background, or vice versa. Black subject on a white, that's what I said the first time. White subject on a black background. Sometimes those contour lines are very strong and would appear, essentially. But a lot of the times you'll find that if you do too many contour lines, that will hinder your ability to convey realism. So what I've been doing recently when I do paintings, digital paintings or otherwise, rather than doing an outline, I will just fill in shapes that I think kind of match the subject, and then I will refine from there just by carving away paint, or, you know, erasing, whatever, rather than doing like an outline. Because eventually you'll be able to refine that shape in position relative to other things, and then you can hone from there, and you'll never have a contour, you'll just have whatever that edge lighting is, and then you don't have to worry about lines, and you can just highlight that edge and further delineate that from the background. But I've also seen people who do, rather than worry about the contour lines, they'll do the contour lines, but then they'll do line art coloring, where you do a mask on top of your line art layer, and then you can make that line art colored, so then you can emphasize like a highlight on an edge, or just make it like a thematic coloring design. I've seen people who use their contour lines with color to emphasize like the color theory, and do like a red against a green, and it might be unappealing in one context, but because of the way that they use it, it like makes it pop more. I don't know anything about color theory. I need to get better about that. But that's just an example I've seen where people will do like crazy contour outlines on purpose to then color it later to then make it stand out, and emphasize a highlight edge. I lied about my age when I was signing up. What I mean, they would help you to understand what you're drawing, what you're going to do next before you do foreshortening or shading. Yes. Yes, you can do a contour line. A lot of the times when I see people do figure drawing, is that they will do it very lightly initially. They just do a very light sketch, and then from there they will erase it, and they'll have that, like, you can kind of very faintly see where they drew, and then they'll use that as landmarks to then decide where to actually put contour edges, right? So that's what I've seen other people do. I haven't done that necessarily. I will usually just go back and erase once I have the final line of what I want. But yeah, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't lie. Haven't we all lied about our ages? I think I did to sign up for RuneScape, probably. Or maybe Club Penguin. I feel like I was too young to be on those, but at a certain point. Maybe not. Probably RuneScape. Anyway. Age restrictions are there to keep you safe. It's fun to make up a name and an age and a birthday. My mom wouldn't let me have Discord. I gotta study contour lines more, whelp. Yeah. Line art is very interesting, and I love line art, and I need to get better about using line art to my benefit. Because a line is just defining a shape, right? You can define a shape in many ways. You can define a shape with color, you can define a shape with line, you can define a shape with shading, you can define a shape with, what are the other forms? All of the principles of drawing. You can define a shape in many different ways without ever actually drawing a line. So it really is up to you and how you want to depict that. If you're going for realism, I actually would recommend against contour lines, personally. I have no idea what he's saying. I need to Google Translate for this. Trying to understand from contour lines, but it also helps with form and 3D and all that. Yes, if you're trying to work on perspective, maybe not specifically contour lines, but like I mean, I do line art for all of my stuff just because I am an animator, and so I like to have that hard edge, because most of the time in animation you do have a hard edge line outlining your character. Oh, I never filled that in. Okay. There's just a hard edge for most characters when it comes to animation, so that's what I'm used to. But I also recognize there's a time and a place, and so I don't want to get too comfortable with just always doing contour lines, because that does become jarring with certain things. I've seen people do really good on purpose contour lines that they then utilize with the perspective, and they'll have the line get thicker as it gets closer to camera, and that's a good way to also emphasize perspective. So that's something to keep in mind. Let me see if... Hold on. Now, I have a poster on my wall of Mob Psycho, and I was trying to see if he's got a hand going out like this. I was going to see if it made the line art thicker as it got closer to camera, but it doesn't. It's just a rough edge all around. So my insight when it comes to contour lines isn't necessarily the best, because I'm specifically making stuff for animation. But if you're just doing like shape studies, yeah, don't worry about it. Just do contour lines. That's fine, because lines are the quickest way to create a shape. So contour lines is fine when it comes to studies. But if you're fully rendering something, I recommend against it. Sorry. Line weight also tell how heavy or light something is. True. I'm learning. Let's go. I'll move on to figure like in the next 2 weeks. Nice. So like large lines if your drawing is a fat guy. I mean, not necessarily. There is actually... I have the perfect example. Let me see if I can find it in my Discord. I have some book scans, and there was a book that I read, and it was from the perspective of directors from different commercials. And there was a woman who did a commercial for Charmin, and she was talking about how because the idea was that Charmin was trying to convey that they were the softest toilet paper, she very specifically used that prompt of softness in her ideating on the characters to then animate. And so because they defined softness, she very specifically didn't use contour lines and just did like watercolor. And so, they're fat bears, whatever, but they don't have hard edges. And that's not necessarily you don't always have to do like heaviness creates hard lines or whatever. It can, but there's a time and a place. And you just really have to have mastery over that. You just have to know all of the examples, because one of my favorite examples is like hard contact. So like if you pinch your fingers together really hard, in order to convey that, you might not draw a line connecting them. Well, you wouldn't draw a line separating the shapes. You would emphasize that because they're being pressed down, that this is just like empty space and they're essentially connected. And I've seen that a lot in anime or other cartoons. There's just different instances that can convey different concepts. And there's no one rule when it comes to line art. You just have to know certain things. So like I think intersecting lines is a good example, because if you can really nail intersecting lines, you can convey a lot of shape and shading before you even start shading. Where if you have two lines that connect like a T, and they're intersecting like that, and then they stop, this one doesn't continue, this one doesn't continue, they stop here. At this point of intersection, if you shade higher here, there's the implication of depth that you wouldn't get otherwise. And so that can emphasize weight, it can emphasize intersection or pressure of those connections, it can emphasize depth. So you just have to have a mastery over line in general to then understand when to use contours in certain ways. That's why I hazard to just give you blanket information about contour lines, because it's like there's no one specific rule. But you are correct that you can convey weight with certain line weight. You can convey shading or contact or shadow or whatever with line weight. Line, in my opinion, is the best language within the art principles. That's just me. No, not really line weight. It's like a darker line is heavier. It shows something is heavy while a lighter line shows light, and that object is getting further away. Yes, atmospheric perspective too. I gotta say that this course is hella good, and I'm actually learning something for once. That makes more sense. I'm in a crazy mood. You're good. Alright, I'm gonna drink some water, and then I'm gonna go to the bathroom, and then we're gonna spin the wheel. Actually, I'll spin the wheel, and I'll leave you in suspense. Okay. I'm not gonna bother looking for the thing. I'm sure it's buried somewhere in my references, but you could probably find it on my Google Drive from the Discord. Got it somewhere. Let's pull up. Oop. This. Let it rip. Let it ride. 13 black. No. 20, what is it? 21 black? 21 black? No. 13 black. Is 13 black? 17. 17 black. 17 black. Homelander. Hardly home knower. I heard a lot of people were pissed off about him being a weak little baby bitch when he got his ass beaten, lost his powers or whatever. And it further emphasized the idea. I'm going to go on a bit of a tangent, and then I'm going to go to the bathroom. In media, there's this tendency to, recently anyway, there's been an uptick in glorifying the bad guy. And I'm sure that the creators have the best intentions when they do that. The creators of something oftentimes think of the fact that the audience that they're writing for has as much intelligence as the person that is writing the story, and that everybody will understand it. At least when I'm writing something, I'm always like, okay, they'll get this, right? They'll get it. Maybe I should not dumb it down because that sounds insulting, but like maybe I should make it a little bit more obvious sometimes. And so I think a lot of the time, it's really hard for a writer to do both. To have a villain who isn't just on the nose evil, right? So there's this fine line that you're skating of like, this is the bad guy, but you don't want to make it so obvious that it's like overdone, ham-fisted, whatever. But if you are to leave it vague for too long that this is the bad guy, your audience gets the wrong idea, and then they get attached. And then they very specifically, like, they do the thing that most people do in real life when they deny reality. They will just deny the fact that this thing that they like is bad when it is. Like, it's provably bad, right? So, my examples are Homelander, Eren Yeager, and Light Yagami. And these are, in my opinion, unsuccessful villains that they tried to portray. I think that because they didn't make it obvious enough that they were the bad guy, very specifically, there's a large audience of people who saw that media and consumed it who think that they're the good guy. And it really bothers me. It really bothers me that people out there exist and think that Light Yagami is a good guy, that he was doing the right thing, that Eren Yeager was a good guy and that he was doing the right thing. If you don't add enough context, if you don't provide in-universe examples of when those characters are being stupid, when those characters are being bad, if nobody checks them in that moment in-universe, the audience will not pick up on the fact that they just fell on their face, right? For example, Light Yagami. 2 episodes in, almost exclusively geolocates himself when L puts out, he's like, I'm L, I'm the lead investigator, whatever, and then he writes that guy's name immediately and kills the guy who he thinks is the investigator to prove a point or whatever. And then L comes out and he's like, actually, fucking loser, that's not me, this is me. I'm not going to tell you my real name because I noticed that all of the people who are dying had their real names listed. And now I know that you live in this area because we only broadcasted to this area. So you are in Japan, in the Kanto region. You're an idiot. I know exactly where you are. Like, immediate. And then by episode 6, he was like, this investigator's son is a fucking psychopath. Let's look at him. And then for the entire show, he's just looking at him. And I don't think they like, I genuinely believe in that moment that Elle should have said, "You are stupid," to Light. I think that there was no direct call out, "You're a moron," in the show to show to the audience that he sucks, that he's dumb. Because he is. He's the dumbest man alive, and I fucking hate it. Elle was fighting against gods, and he didn't even know it, and he almost won. Light is the dumbest fucking guy. Anyway, same with Eren Yeager. They didn't, like, they started it out as, like, this shonen protagonist. He's this good guy. He wants to avenge his mother. Cool. Good story. However, at a certain point, he's not trying to avenge his mother. He's trying to eradicate an entire race of people. And to escalate from here to there without anybody else questioning his drive, without questioning his goal, is really upsetting to me. Like, everybody else went along, and everybody's like, oh, Arvin stood up to him, and then he got punched in the face, and then he shut up for the rest of the show. And then he just shut up. He didn't put up another fight. He didn't say, hey, actually, let's not help Eren. Let's not kill all these people, right? He didn't conspire with his friends. He was just like, actually, and then he got nuked in the face, and then he just cried about it for the rest of it. And I fucking hate that. There was nobody who spoke, and it shouldn't have even gotten to that point. They shouldn't have even let Eren get to that point. Because at a certain point, you gotta say, hey man, we know that these are humans. Maybe there's another way to do this rather than eradicating all of them, considering we know that you are also a Titan. So what is to say that you are not gonna also do this crazy fucked up shit that these people are doing, right? Like, nobody said that at any point in the show. So I fucking hate Attack on Titan, and everybody loves it, and I fucking hate that. Eren's a good guy. No, fuck that. Anyway, sorry, I am going on a rant. Same thing with Homelander. He lost his powers, and everybody's mad that he's a little baby bitch. I think that's the best execution, but I think it took too long in that there are people defending him. So clearly they didn't make it obvious enough earlier on. Now, there's always going to be stupid people out there who consume media and don't get it. There are too many people that I know who think that the Rebel Alliance are, like, I've seen people who are like, oh, Luke Skywalker's actually conservative. And it's like, not to get into politics, but, like, that's the stupidest take I've ever heard in my entire fucking life. Luke Skywalker's a rebel. It's the Rebel Alliance. Oh my god. They're fighting an established government. There's so many parallels to real world, whatever. Stormtroopers were an actual nickname for Nazis. Holy shit. Anyway. There's always going to be stupid people out there who see this media and they consume it and they think, hey, the side that I like that Darth Vader has a red lightsaber. He's the good guy, whatever. Just bad takes all around. And I really shouldn't take it that seriously, but I do, because Light Yagami is a bad character. Eren Yeager is a bad character. Homelander is a little bit more successful in my opinion. I haven't watched all of the show, but from what I've seen, it's pretty obvious that he's the bad guy, and there's always just going to be stupid people who don't understand that. So I'll give him a pass there. That was my rant. I still have to pee. I will be right back, and then I will catch up on chat. Something else of note that I was thinking of was I think that each of those sources of media are instances of the anime catching up with the manga, quote unquote, even though The Boys is a graphic novel, whatever. I think the show caught up with the source material, and so they started writing ahead of it, and it kind of ruined it. If I'm remembering correctly, although maybe not Death Note. But I believe that happened with Attack on Titan for a minute, or that the writer like really put. Maybe not. Maybe I'm misremembering. Anyway, that was just a thought I had. Where maybe it's a coincidence that all three of these, where I see these bad, poorly written villains, was a case of like maybe they had better intentions and they just didn't get to accomplish that because they were forced into that. Because that's a hard transition to make. One from like good guy to bad guy, right? Eren Yeager could have been super successful in like this. You see this kid and you see all this shit that he goes through and how desperately he just wants this thing to happen, and then he becomes the bad guy. But it was unrealistic to me in that nobody checked him on that. There should have been some instant, like everybody was always behind him, and there should have been some instance of his friends being like, "Hey, buddy, you're not doing so hot," right? If anything, he's just got shit friends, right? Like. At the very least, we can admit that. Okay. Sorry, let me get back to chat. Not really. I have a few works in Cullen server. Maybe they can. Cool. I'm not mad because I have no idea what you're talking about. People need the dumb thing down for me. I'm kind of dumb. My villain concept for my manga is his ideological, and I'll frame him to be hidden, so I'll introduce him, but not as the main villain until later when all the dots connect and everyone realizes it was him. Interesting. That could be a good reveal. You gotta be careful with that, though. That can also get complicated. He got nuked. Is Wolverine still here? It's a person. I don't know if they're watching the live. Oh, I got you. I think they left. Oh no! I love the story you did. It's so fun. Looks cool. Wasn't Homelander one of the spots on the wheel that got requested and you said the requester needed to be here? Maybe. Oh, you are alive. Sorry, I went to grab food. Food sounds good. Food, give me some. Uh-oh. Okay. I was gonna look up Homelander, the real guy, and I remembered that it's a graphic novel. So, I feel silly, but... let's do Homelander. Let's see if there's an expression sheet. Oops. Ooh, that's really fun, art. Good one. Oh, here's a good one. Now, these are all real, which is unfortunate. I don't mind doing Homelander just because I know that I need to watch The Boys, and I do like the idea of the character. I do want to see how well the execution is actually done. And I should read the graphic novel, but I probably won't. For whatever reason, I don't ever like dedicating myself to like sitting down and reading. I don't know why. I have an entire wall of manga that I just haven't read yet. I need to catch up. I really like this fan art. Hold, sorry, let me... It's really good. Graphic simplification of the character. This is somebody I think made a 3D model based on it, based on this Facebook thing. Maku Guapu. Maku Guapu did this. I don't know who did this, but since it's this person's art anyway that they just made 3D. Okay. But I like that simplification. Very expressive. I couldn't find UC Homelander graphic. That's a different design entirely. Interesting. Okay. This is interesting. Off rip, hadn't considered this because I forgot what he looked like actually. He reminds me of this image specifically. Reminds me of is it Judge Dredd? It's from the graphic novel that the movie No Country for Old Men is based off of. There Will Be Blood is a different movie. I always get those two mixed up. Hold on. Judge. It's not Judge Dredd. Judge Holden. No. It is Judge Holden. Okay. I think this is what they were going for. This has to be an exact reference. I'm so glad I caught this. I haven't finished. I was listening to the audiobook. Oh yeah, for sure. That's a direct reference. That's great. So, a little bit of context. There's a short story called, let's see, what's it from? I always forget. Blood Meridian. That's what it is. Blood Meridian. And the book is supposedly the most graphic description of like murder and all kinds of like hate crimes and stuff ever in American novelization, right? And Judge Holden is the perpetrator of all of these crimes in the book, essentially. And some people read it as fiction, but it's actually based on reality. There was actually a guy who perpetuated a lot of these crimes and committed them in America when Western expansion was happening. And so to read this book and go, wow, that's foul, that's disgusting, only to come and see that there's a real guy that's based on. And so it was eye-opening to a lot of people to be like, oh, maybe Western expansion was actually really bloody and brutal and fucked up, and we shouldn't have killed all those people. Anyway, very funny that they used that as reference for Homelander in the graphic novel, because he's this fucked up guy who kills a lot of people. And I believe, I haven't read the book, but I believe that is kind of Homelander's whole MO. Cornflakes with blueberries, yummy. Gotta be hard to frame him, but I'll introduce him as a mob boss, then he dies. Nice. Cornflakes, gimme. Yoink. That's sick, that sounds good. The story initially takes place on Earth, 1940s, 50s, fusion setting outside worlds of fusion, 1970s up to 2000. Read Death Note, the manga was fully finished before the anime showed up, and why I am angry with its ending. We've been over this. Yes, we talked about how they messed it up. They should have. I wish they did the Ryuk reveal. When you're done writing, read your story, mail me a copy. I have 3 chapters from like 2 years ago. It's completely different from what I have planned. It's like 17 pages. Not enough hours in the day. True. I have so much anime and manga I need to get to, plus books and just everything in between. Yeah, I have a bad habit of trying to consume like several different forms of media all at once. Like I'll be watching YouTube. I'll just have a video playing, and then I'll be playing a game. And so my focus is not fully on one or the other, and so it does kind of ruin some experiences for me that I put that on myself. I never critique anything super hard when I'm doing that, because I know that I'm the one who's causing it to potentially not be as impactful as it should be. That's just me. Sometimes I just gotta chug along through some stuff, especially with all the things that people recommend to me. They're just like, hey, you should watch this, and I'm like, okay, here's the thing. Because I have a lot of friends who hate watch stuff, and do not like hate watching, because if I know that something is bad, like I understand the joy of like, hey, this is funny, whatever, I don't like it, but we're getting some laughs at how bad it is. I'm like, there's too many good things that I still need to consume. Why would I torture myself with the bad stuff first? Like, start with the good stuff, and then you can do the bad stuff. I understand. There is some value to watching something that's so bad that it's funny, in that it then tells you what to avoid. You know, bad tropes, bad stereotypes, things that people do in these films that are bad. And you can point to them, and the more that you see them, you can analyze where they went wrong, because sometimes it's like they had the best intentions, other times they're just like very intentionally shitty on purpose. Like the Winnie the Pooh horror movie or whatever. But like sometimes they're genuinely trying and it's bad. And so like The Room, for example, which is the best worst movie, or like Neil Breen, where he is genuine in his endeavor to make movies by himself, but you can see where they fall flat. And sometimes the story is fine, but it's a matter of like, you used a lot of stock footage, you used a lot of stock images. Like, if you had more of a budget, this could have been something, right? And, you know, can't blame anybody for just working with what they have. But sometimes you can be a little bit more creative and save yourself some money. I'm broke as hell. There's a lot of ways that you can read stuff without it costing you money, and I won't tell you where. Speaking of books on my to-read list, I'm broke too. Did y'all hear Twitter bullied Gachi Kuda, Twitter creator, off of Twitter? I did hear that, yeah. It's pretty fucked up. Libraries are a thing. Yeah, I saw they bullied her off. I also didn't know until that story that it was a woman, but that's awesome that she's getting so much traction. I don't know, is the creator of My Hero also a woman? I don't remember if that was like an unconfirmed thing, if they know who the creator, I'm sure they know who the creator is at this point, and I'm pretty sure it is a woman, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it's crazy. Twitter is toxic, not surprised, yeah. Same with Gooseworks, they bullied Gooseworks off of something, Twitter, Tumblr, the creator of Digital Circus, Amazing Digital Circus. They bullied her as well for something that she already apologized for and also wasn't that big of a deal, but people are shitty, but whatever. Yeah, it's crazy. Just some guy was dancing as Jabber, it's messed up and it's racist. I don't know the full context, but yeah, racism is bad. I'm sure me doing this will fix it. Okay, let me study Homelander. I should have kept that graphic. Why not? No, because then I would just be emulating Judge. Okay, so let me try and simplify this character. Very square face, round hole. He's got the cheekbones. Eyes are very squinty. Smiles. So are mine. No shade whatsoever. Just an observation. How do I want to do his nose? I could do just a regular nose. Pretty normal eyebrows. Actually, they kind of go like out and then in. Like they're longer in the middle than they are on the outsides. They kind of curve. They honestly come straight down at a certain point. His eyes are like kind of tilted out a little bit. Like his line right here is pretty extreme. Got some pretty defined forehead and cheekbone creases. little dimple on his chin. So he's got like I won't do that. I was gonna say he's got like these pretty severe like his chin kind of juts out. He's got like the butt chin. But I won't do that. Twitter's a cesspool. Yeah, for sure. That's why I don't go on there. All bro did was use celery sticks or whatever as jabber hair. The audiobook so I can listen to a book while I draw. I like to listen to music. Yeah, same. I watch YouTube or a movie or anime. Never listened to an audiobook. There's some good ones out there. In all honesty, I've never watched anime. There's some good ones out there. Then the hair is where it really has to come together. You gotta get that cloth. What is this hairline? I guess it is just kind of. Ish. That brown lines. Better way to define those. I think I want to do that. I think that's fine. I think they're gentle enough. Yeah, kind of like the. That does emphasize that curling of the mouth. He's very expressive. I can appreciate that. I love. He's got some good memes. I've seen that one. See that one's very funny. My mom won't let me. Fair. You watch Pokemon? No. Pokemon is an anime. It's crazy you haven't seen Pokemon. It's okay that you haven't seen Pokemon. I had friends who weren't allowed to watch SpongeBob. That one was crazy to me when I was younger because they were like, SpongeBob's violent, I guess. I don't remember what their argument was, but I was like, they clearly haven't even watched this if they think that it's violent or whatever. SpongeBob's gonna be too upsetting for you. It's like, they don't even have adult jokes in SpongeBob. The closest thing is like season 3, Shanghai. No, is it Shanghai? No. it's when he's trying to get Gary to take a bath, and he does the balloons, don't drop them because it's soap, and the implication, don't drop the soap in jail, whatever. That's the closest I've ever seen. But that wasn't even an argument they could have made, because that was when it was like season 1 and 2. SpongeBob's so good. Pokemon is anime. It's crazy you haven't seen Pokemon. It's not that crazy. Not that crazy you haven't watched anime either. It's kind of sad. Anime has a lot of cool stories. I will say, yes. You've got time. Such is life. I'm just not allowed to watch anime. Sorry to hear that. I can watch cartoons. Cool. Anime is a very specific genre, and I will say it is a very safe bet to just kind of catch all, keep your kid from watching anime until you know what very specifically happens in that anime. So if your parents don't watch anime, then they can't know 100% without a doubt that the anime that you're watching is safe, which is fair. Some of my favorite ones, unfortunately, have a lot of sexualization in them, and I don't like that. Those are the parts that I wish they would take out. I don't like that Soul Eater has it at all. I think that that's kind of useless, and it doesn't really have any impact on the story, whereas Kill la Kill has it in the story, but it's part of the story, so it's a lot harder to avoid. But also, it's very specifically about not sexualizing. It's about, like, I'm just wearing clothes, man. Leave me alone. Keep your hands to yourself type of thing, which I can respect. Anyway. What's self-expression? Okay. Here's my reference. That's going to be my style of Homelander. I've seen some interesting SpongeBob moments. SpongeBob rules. SpongeBob is where I get most of my comedy from. Truly some of the best comedy writing. And do you know why their comedy writing is so good? It's because I'll tell you why. It's because they had the writers in the room with the animators at the same time. And so the animators would work in collaboration with the writers and say, hey, what is the gag that you're trying to deliver? And then the writers would say, oh, well, we want to kind of sell that he's going to smash into this wall. And they're like, okay, so the way that we're going to do this, we can animate it so that it's a very specific, like, we'll just do a hold shot on this. He's going to hit the wall and he's going to stay there, really sell the impact. So they were just doing this back and forth of writing with the jokes. How do we cut corners? How do we save animators time? How do we deliver the joke without having to, or vice versa, animators saying, we really want this joke to land. We can really fixate on it. We're going to spend all of our time animating this very specifically because that's like one of the better jokes that we want, that you want this joke to go. So we're going to try and sell that one the best. So they were really great about it. Dirty jokes. SpongeBob doesn't have too many dirty things, but maybe the newer stuff. I haven't watched any of the new stuff, so I don't know. I stopped watching after. I don't know the last episode I watched, but I know that there was a very specific downturn after the movie came out, and from there it was kind of downhill. And I've watched one or two recently, and the pacing is just awful. They're just nonstop throwing jokes, trying to see what sticks, and it's too much. It's very reminiscent of like Teen Titans Go, and I'm like, it's probably very similar writing rooms. I know they're trying to appeal to that like shorter attention span that people seem to have, but like SpongeBob is timeless, and those episodes still work, even though I have a shorter attention span now. It still holds my attention. It's still good. Anyway. I hate the new SpongeBob. True. It has a few, not a ton, but a few. New SpongeBob. Gotcha. Well, I'm glad you're at least watching the old stuff, because the old stuff is the best. I could watch that every day for the rest of my life and be completely fine and entertained every time. Anyway, see you all later. Okay. Oh, probably all the wrinkles. Thin lips. Hey, this guy's looking at the camera. He's very expressive, and I liked that for each of the expressions that I found in those figure drawings, he had a more expressive version of that. So I have to at least give the actor props for his ability to capture that energy of like a graphic novel being very expressive. He's a real life cartoon character, and I can appreciate that. I love that. Where we at? Hot garbage, give me old SpongeBob. I hate a lot of these days remakes. Yeah, for sure, remakes suck. I wish there was more creative originality out there. Even iterating on ideas that aren't original necessarily, but to take it and put a spin on it, like Spider-Verse, for instance, where that is very specifically, hey, let's take this character that is beloved, sure, but let's do it in a style that is so unique and different to anything that's ever been done with him. Beautiful. I will take that any day. Over, hey, let's remake this thing, but let's make it worse, and also a shot for shot of what already exists. What's the point of that? At the very least, I can say that there was like the prequel for, I think it's called Mufasa, the prequel for The Lion King, which, whatever. At the very least, it was an original story. Now, did it sell well? Probably not. I can't imagine it did, especially after everybody went and saw the remake of The Lion King, and it was bad, and they probably went, hey, maybe we don't do live action stuff. But I could be wrong. Maybe it did numbers. I didn't hear anything about it being better than the original, but what have you. I saw a bunch of people who were talking about how the remake made more money than the original. Yeah, in sheer numbers, but I did the inflation calculator, and it was nowhere near the original. Anyway. Stick to what people look like. Look at Moana live action. That was not needed. True. You can't make the best better. I agree. I heard Snow White was very bad. It was bad. I didn't see it, but it looked bad. I watched the last SpongeBob movie hoping it would have the same magic as the others, and it was not good. That is unfortunate. I'm gonna be honest. The original SpongeBob movie is like genuinely a really good movie. Like the pacing of it, storytelling, the animation, all of it really lines up to be a good movie regardless of whether you've seen SpongeBob or not. Genuinely. Like you can watch that movie as a standalone and it is good. And the reason that it's good, and this is very funny, and some people don't take it seriously, but I looked into it and it is very similar parallels. It is the Odyssey. It is the story of the Odyssey from Homer's The Odyssey. Like one-to-one. Like that there is some curse put upon him. He has to solve this problem in a short amount of time. He has a time frame that he has to get done. He is given a gift from a mystical woman who then enables him to complete his challenge a lot sooner with the mustaches and the Bag of Winds. The Bag of Winds is a direct reference to Homer. And that he takes along his stupid companion who does actually end up solving it. There is a Cyclops. They refer to it as the Cyclops, I think. The guy in the diving suit, the old-timey diving suit, he's just got the monocular vision, right? He's a Cyclops, technically. I think they call him Cyclops, but I could be wrong. I feel like there's somebody who's like, beware, there's a Cyclops in these parts. They refer to it as Bigger Boot, I remember that. But yeah, there's a lot. The one with Ice Spice. Ice Spice is in the new SpongeBob? Okay. I had to look it up, yes. Still says Cullen has been live for 32 minutes. Maybe if you refresh. I don't know if that thing ticks up as you're watching, but I could be wrong. I think I laughed, like really laughed once or twice. That sucks. Is that the one with Keanu Reeves in the tumbleweed, or is that a different one? My sibling watched it. I haven't. It seems like garbage too, especially the adult jokes in it seem a little more forced. That sucks. It's gonna take me a minute. I'm getting there. Saw that it was okay. What we need is wonderfully made stories from books like Moby Dick. Oh, that would be fun. It says 2 hours. Interesting. Mine says I've been streaming for 3 hours. The Odyssey is triggering for me, especially the casting. Oh, you mean the remake? What is it? Is it James Cameron who's doing the Odyssey? I don't know. But I don't care about that. I'm talking SpongeBob. The first SpongeBob movie is a direct reference to Homer's writing of the Odyssey. I don't think it's a direct reference to any of the movies, but I could be wrong. I haven't seen any of the Odyssey movies. I don't know if the new one's going to be okay. I don't know. But yeah, they could definitely do old movies, or old books done as movies, but done better than what I imagine the Odyssey would be with... Is Tom Holland in that, or is it like... For whatever reason, as a society, we latch on to like one actor, and then for the longest time, they are the guy. They are the go-to whatever. It was Chris Pratt for a while, and I fucking hated that. He should not be Mario. He sucks ass. There was Tom Holland for a while. He was the it guy. Fine, whatever. I honestly didn't mind when... At the time, I didn't like him. I didn't like Robert Pattinson. Now, having seen him in a lot of things that he did, I like him a lot. He's a good actor. At the very least, he has range. He can do many things. He can't do a southern accent, but I will give him that he has range in other things. That he was in The Boy and the Heron, and that he went all out for the voice acting. I respect the hell out of that. And The Lighthouse. Phenomenal in The Lighthouse. Like Chuck Norris. Well, you know what? You're right. He was the it guy for a while. That's a very old reference. I don't think I would have thought of Chuck Norris, but that is a good example. What's the other one? There was going to be another guy that I was like, oh yeah, it's this guy for a while. But anyway, point being, I think Timothée Chalamet is the current it guy, which, he's fine. I don't think he's exceptional in anything that he does. I haven't seen Dune. Maybe he's really good in Dune. I don't know. I think the problem with some actors and their contracts, for example, The Rock contracts say he must always win or some shit. Interesting. I think I heard that too. But I can't imagine that there are too many actors who have those kinds of stipulations in their contracts, or else we would hear about that. But also that I've seen other actors lose, like Robert Pattinson, Batman, like he gets the shit kicked out of him, Batman, as far as I remember. Did I see that Batman? I might be confusing it with the other Batmans. But like, there are instances where I've seen certain actors, like, I want to, as a viewer, I want to see them struggle in some way, shape, or form. I might be thinking Mickey 17. I think he got the shit kicked out of him in Mickey 17. As a viewer, I want to see people get beat up as the protagonist. I want to see them get beat up so that there is some sort of struggle. Now, they can get beat up in mental or emotional ways as well. The Lighthouse is a good example. He had to go through some shit. Mentally, he was messed up. That counts. But I just want to see that, right? Because it helps grow. There's like an attachment. You're like, oh yeah, been there, man. That sucks. You know? You gotta make them relatable for me to then care about the things that happen to them later on. Like, the more you give me emotionally to bond with them, the more I emotionally will bond with them over time, and then by the time you have some resolution of the story, I will either be rooting for them or against them based on what their alignment has been in my head as to relatability. If I've gone, hey, I'm familiar with that, but I've only seen it in assholes, this guy's an asshole, right? I don't want to see this guy succeed on the screen. And that's how you kind of play with people's emotions. You go, this guy's a bad guy, but he's the protagonist, or this guy's the good guy, but he's getting the shit kicked out of him. Moving my hands around a lot. Watched a ton of old stuff. Interesting. Sometimes takes from an actor where the only thing is you win. John Cena, same thing. Those are both, he's a better actor than The Rock. He's fine. I've seen him in a lot of things. I feel like his whole thing is like, he's the comic relief in most things, in that he's like this big guy, so you don't expect him to be certain thing. Like, it's always this subversion of whatever. I think Sisters, he was like a drug dealer, and it was like, you're a drug dealer? What the heck? You look so great. Whatever. Like, a drug dealer is supposed to be like a creepy little skinny guy, whatever. He was Fred's dad. Very funny. That's probably the funniest role I've ever seen John Cena in, is from the Fred movie. I'm shadowboxing. I gotta keep my hands warm. I'm fighting demons. I'm fighting all those Eren Yeager stands. Anyway. I do think there are actors like that, but I don't like any of them. Any of the ones that are like, I demand. Ugh. I don't like Scarlett Johansson. I'm going to put that out here right now. However, I do like that she was one of the first actors to go up against any of the AI that companies were trying to shoehorn into contracts. She was one of the first very vocal, outspoken people about, do not use my voice for AI, do not use my likeness unless I give you permission every single time. You can't capture my likeness and use it in future things. I want to be the only I will be in front of a camera if you want to use my likeness. So I can appreciate and respect her for at least doing that. I don't like Scarlett Johansson just because I've never seen her have range in anything, so I don't have any point of reference when it comes to her acting abilities, and she seems to always play the same character and everything that I've seen. I need to watch Marriage Story to fully understand. Maybe she's good in that, because I know Adam Driver's good in that, so hopefully he would bring out the best of her, because that's something that I think people have potential for, is when you're working alongside somebody who fucking rips as a person, like they're just really good. Me personally, if I'm working with somebody who's great, I think we just like kind of help each other elevate each other. Like I played soccer for a while, and I noticed the difference in my abilities when I was playing with better players. I had to kind of play down to some people's levels, which sucked because then I was like, I feel like I'm playing poorly, which I was, but who doesn't like Scarlett Johansson? Me. And the one acts Wanda. Emily Olsen? I think she's fine. I think I've seen her in a couple things. The Avengers. No, I haven't seen it. I'm trying to think if you would have seen her in something else. She was the voice of the phone in Her. I know that. You probably haven't seen... What is that movie? Under the Skin. I'm sure you haven't seen Under the Skin if you haven't seen Avengers. But I watched that movie in college for a film class, and it was interesting. I think it was fine, but they kind of undermined their own story at the end. It could have been better. Black Widow. Don't shame people for not having seen stuff. I feel bad because I used to do that too, and I feel bad about it because it's like there's so many things that I haven't seen that I get shamed for, and it's like, I know it's on my list, I'm gonna get there. Let's, instead of berating me, just set up a time to watch it with me, you know? And then I'll sit there and I'll watch it with you because I enjoy your company. You should do watch-alongs, that'd be fun. Anyway, I'm gonna spin the character wheel now. It's Spoopy! We got Snoopy. Snoopy! Spuppy. I love that I did Homelander and now I'm doing Snoopy. I do like that I also got to do Garfield and Snoopy back to back. Not back to back, but in the same sitting. They're all very specifically the Red Baron. I don't want that. Spoopy, Spuppy, Spooples. Oh, that's cute. Somebody did Snoopy in all different cartoon forms. AI for sure. That sucks. am I getting Nimona expression sheets when I googled Snoopy expression sheets? What keyword is shared within Nimona and Snoopy? Just a general Peanuts face expression sheet. Snubby. Snoopy. You watch them one day, we'll have you ever seen Gomer Pyle? No. It's a TV show from the 80s. Just looked it up, it looked interesting. I said that because I had a feeling you'd say no. Old musicals, interesting. Alright. Snoopy. Let's break this down. Okay. So I can probably... I like that these look like emotes. I love the way that when he yawns, this one specifically is, I love that. His mouth kind of like curves around itself. It's like, I love that I'm doing this to try and demonstrate, but I have a canvas. I could just draw what I'm trying to depict. It does that when it first melts. Oh, look, Skater Boy Snoopy. He's a skater dog. He said, "See you later, dog." But like, if I were to remove the nose, I feel like these are all pretty Snoopy. Let me try something. Oops. Try something different. Put it in here, and I'm gonna just erase noses and see how well they apply to Snoopy. Yep. Maybe not. We'll see. Just experimenting. So, other problem being that there's too many front-on Snoopy shots that I found. Do interesting. Yeah, not so much. He's got a very specific style. Good. Tell me if you like it. Okie dokie. I'm out. It's your twin. What's Woodstock doing? What is Woodstock doing? Where's Woodstock? He's laughing. Pull up Woodstock. Oh, I should put Woodstock. What happens? What happens to the stream? Did I glitch out for you again? Because I'm still live, according to this. Oh, that's what I was doing. I was pulling up the wheel. Just when I had Woodstock. Not seeing him. Okay. So I did. How many have I done today? I just want to compare something. I've done 1, 2, 3, 4. I've done 4. And we've added 3. So I've done 1 technically. To wean down the number of characters on this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Never mind, I added 4. I've added 0. Or I've done 0 technically. Very funny. I'm never gonna end. This wheel is never gonna be complete. It's okay. Get everybody's characters different. Okay, let me practice. What happened? What did bro violate? Did he get banned? Why would I suspend the stream? YouTube AI. What did I do? What happened? Are you still watching me? Am I still here? Can you hear me? Type apricot. YouTube stupid. Wahaha. The Aaron stands. Oh, somebody mass reported me. That's funny. YouTube AI. They got our boy. Am I still live? Can you hear me? Can you see what's happening? Yes or no? Am I still here? What? Hold on. What happened? What is happening? Go live. Your stream has been blocked because we detected audio that belongs to someone else.